Forget Sonia Henney, but don't come around to me if you ever want to take skating lessons. Loretta's only reservation about accepting the role in this movie was that she'd never done a Swedish accent before. Of course, the studio hired a tutor to help her out, but she found that she learned a lot more from Anna Nilsson, the Swedish actress who was cast as her mother in the film. Well, she must have been an excellent pupil because her performance was good enough to win her the 1947 Academy Award as Best Actress. Of course, nobody wins an Oscar totally by himself or herself. Loretta was lucky enough to be surrounded by some real terrific pros. There's Joseph Cotten, of course, as the leading man, and Ethel Barrymore as his mother. Watch for James Arness, too, in his screen debut as one of the Holstrom boys. Here they all are in The Farmer's Daughter.
Next on American Movie Classics, a crooked promoter wrestles with fate when he's tracked down by an underworld gang. Richard Widmark and Gene Tierney star in the action-packed thriller Night and the City. It's next on American Movie Classics.
As I mentioned earlier, Loretta Young won an Oscar for her performance in today's movie, but she wasn't the only one from The Farmer's Daughter to win a nomination. Charles Bickford was nominated as Best Supporting Actor for his work as Clancy, but he was beaten out by Edmund Gwen's portrayal of Everybody at Once, Santa Claus. Right, that was in Miracle on 34th Street. Well, who could ever vote against Santa Claus, I ask you? Now, here is one final story to leave you with. Do you remember the scene where Joseph Cotten says goodbye to Ethel Barrymore before he leaves to go to the Capitol? Well, she decided to have a little fun with that scene. So as he turned around to go away, she kind of poked him in the rear with her cane. As he turned back in astonishment, she said, "Don't forget to give my best to the governor." Cotten and director Hank Porter completely lost it with this. They had to postpone work on that scene for 2 days because Cotten couldn't make his exit without absolutely cracking up. We'll be right back, but first let's take a look at this.
August is sizzling on American Movie Classics. Get ready, because we're hot on the trail of midsummer movie magic. Tune in for our Heartstrings Festival, an all-star salute to Hollywood's spirited sisters, plus a cinema sampler of Hometown USA. First, American Movie Classics tugs at your heartstrings with the romantic rhapsodies of 5 great American composers. Gene Crane, Dana Andrews, Dick Haymes, and Vivian Blaine star in the memorable musical State Fair, with an Oscar-winning score by Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Don't even be late.
Betty Grable and Dick Haymes croon to the tunes of George and Ira Gershwin in The Shocking Miss Pilgrim. Alice Faye and John Payne discover love along the Barbary Coast in Hello, Frisco, Hello, featuring the Oscar-winning song
You never know just how much I miss you.
Irving Berlin sets the stage for legendary dance duo Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers in Follow the Fleet. Plus, the glorious music of Jerome Kern underscores the excitement for Gene Crane, Cornell Wilde, and Linda Darnell during a memorable Centennial Summer. There's high-flying excitement Tuesday nights in August when Hollywood's most spirited sisters battle the odds in 4 adventurous films. Rosalind Russell portrays the world's first woman aviator in Flight for Freedom. Ginger Rogers stars as a sassy showgirl who stands up for her rights, Roxie Hart. And Katharine Hepburn portrays women ahead of their time in 2 inspirational roles of courage, A Woman Rebels and Christopher Strong.
What a day.
Also this month, our Hometown USA Festival continues. On August 24th, we begin 5 nights of movies celebrating small-town life. Jean Crane's a hometown girl who marries bandleader Dan Daly in You Were Meant for Me. Walter Brennan, Fay Bainter, and John Payne are a winning team in Maryland. Don Amici and Ann Rutherford star in the sentimental flag waver Happy Land. Plus, American Movie Classics presents the Oscar-winning story of small-town life, Breaking Away.
I ain't had no complaints yet.
It's the stuff midsummer night dreams are made of. Hollywood's greatest movies. August on American Movie Classics.
We have been getting a good deal of mail, and it's a lot of fun, especially to get mail from a lot of the new people that are viewing American movie classics for the first time out there. We get a lot of fun surprises from people and a lot of great pictures from little kids, too, and some wonderful stories from some of the older folks. Some of them were even in some of the movies that we show. And we had a request recently from a little kid by the name of Vinny who wanted to see The Day the Earth Stood Still. Do you remember that with Michael Rene? Well, we showed that a number of times here on American Movie Classics a couple of years ago. But maybe we'll bring it back. It happens to be a feature of mine, too, with Gort, Klaatu, Barata, Nikto. How could you ever forget that one? If you would care to write us a note or drop us a line about a favorite movie that you might have, our address is as follows. It's American Movie Classics, Post Office Box 999, Woodbury, New York, 11797. Vinny remembered it, I guess, or wrote it down, because we got a nice note from him. I'll show it to you someday. American Movie Classics, Woodbury, New York, 11797. Drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Maybe we'll read your note on the TV one day. We'll be right back, but first, let's take a look at this.
Sophisticated, witty, debonair, and handsome, Cary Grant was, for over 3 decades, a favorite of American film audiences. His youthful charm and casual, suave style captivated moviegoers across the nation. And this, coupled with his own unique personality, made him one of the screen's legendary stars. Always a top box office draw throughout his career, Grant once described his acting style as playing himself to perfection. But there is much more to it than that. He was a master of timing, not only of lines, but of gesture and of expression as well. Although his personality always shone through in all his best roles, Grant also showed himself to be an actor of great depth and complexity. In the pantheon of the cinema's legendary stars, Cary Grant holds a special place as the man who, more than anyone else in screen history, epitomized charm and sophistication. Renowned film historian David Thompson has called Grant the best and most important actor in the history of film. This, of course, is a very large claim, yet in many ways it rings true. Indeed, few actors have shown as much versatility as Grant, and even fewer have appeared in so many truly classic films. But however one feels about Grant's work, one thing is certain. Cary Grant was one of the most important, most popular stars ever to light up the silver screen. Born Alexander Archibald Leach in Bristol, England in January of 1908, he grew up poor and poverty-stricken. At age 13, in an effort to escape his dismal surroundings, he ran away from home to join a traveling acrobatic troupe as a song and dance man. The troupe toured America in the summer of 1921, and the 13-year-old Archibald decided to stay in the States, where he found summer employment as a lifeguard at Coney Island Beach in Brooklyn. When the summer ended, so did the job, but the youngster found winter work carrying advertising signs about while walking on stilts. In the evenings, he was able to pursue a show business career by securing one-night stands as a song and dance man at various clubs in the New York City area. In 1923, at 16 years old, Archibald returned to his native England, where he began appearing regularly in musical comedies. While performing in England in the late 1920s, he was discovered by Broadway producer Arthur Hammerstein, who brought him back to New York to star in the musical comedy Golden Dawn. He changed his name to Cary Grant and appeared in numerous other Broadway musicals over the next 3 years. Then, in the summer of 1931, he traveled to St. Louis, where he played and sang in 12 operettas, and this led to his signing by Paramount Pictures. In the following 4 years, Grant appeared in 27 films, establishing himself as a popular and appealing romantic leading man. Among the films he made during this period are such classics as Blonde Venus with Marlene Dietrich, I'm No Angel with Mae West, The Toast of New York with Frances Farmer, and Sylvia Scarlett co-starring Katharine Hepburn. It was in the late 30s that Grant really hit his stride by unveiling his flair for screwball comedy in great films such as Topper, The Awful Truth, and one of the finest comedies ever produced by Hollywood, Bringing Up Baby, again co-starring Katharine Hepburn.
Will you do something for me? A needle?
No, it's simpler than that. Let's play a game.
As the decade of the 30s came to a close, Cary Grant hit one of the many peaks in his career, turning in brilliant performances in film classics such as Only Angels Have Wings, In Name Only, My Favorite Wife, and Howard Hawks' great comedy, His Girl Friday.
Where do you think you're going?
I'm going after Mother, and I'm going to get Bruce out of jail. What?
Dizzy spell too, and I like you both up at the same time.
Throughout the 1940s, Grant made one classic film after another, including The Philadelphia Story, Penny Serenade, Alfred Hitchcock's Suspicion, Talk of the Town, Notorious, co-starring Ingrid Bergman, The Bachelor and the Bobby Soxer with a grown-up Shirley Temple, the Frank Capra masterpiece, Arsenic and Old Lace, and Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House.
Well, you've done it again. Plans. And he wants them now.
Grant's versatility, charm, sophistication, and good looks enabled him to span 3 decades as a top leading man, while many of his contemporaries had either passed away or switched to character roles. The American public loved Grant, and his sterling image was never tarnished by his unstable private life, which included 4 marriages that all ended in bitter divorce. The 1950s and 60s brought many more highlights in Cary Grant's career, including his work with director Alfred Hitchcock and such classics as To Catch a Thief and North by Northwest. As a romantic leading man, Grant was brilliant in love stories such as People Will Talk, Indiscreet, Houseboat, and An Affair to Remember. And Grant made secure his place as one of the screen's great comedic actors with his performances in Monkey Business, Operation Petticoat, and Father Goose. But for all his memorable and outstanding work throughout the years, Cary Grant never received an Oscar, although he was nominated twice. Finally, in 1970, Cary Grant was given a special Oscar for his overall contribution to America's motion picture heritage. The award was greatly deserved and long overdue. Cary Grant retired from filmmaking in 1966 after completing Walk, Don't Run. He still received hundreds of film offers a year, but Grant turned them all down, preferring to let his past work speak for itself. And it does speak for itself. It illustrates his enormous and enduring contribution to our film heritage, his universal appeal. But most of all, it illustrates beyond any doubt that Cary Grant was one of the greatest stars ever to grace the silver screen.
You're watching American Movie Classics.
We are back, and tomorrow, if you like action and a good laugh as well, our double bill is just up your alley. First, in the Technicolor adventure, The Iron Mistress, Alan Ladd stars as Jim Bowie, real-life backwoodsman, inventor, and gambler. Virginia Mayo and Phyllis Kirk are the female leads in this one. Then, it's one of my favorites of all, Jack Benny, and his tight-fisted best in The Meanest Man in Town. Eddie Rochester Anderson is along in this one, and Priscilla Lane. They co-star in a Benny vehicle based on a play by George M. Cohan, believe it or not. Radio fans, of course, will recognize Benny's theme, Love and Bloom. He doesn't do it on the violin, but he could a little bit. It's on the soundtrack in this movie, and I think that's where he got the idea. I'm not sure. Now, here's today's movie question. In what film did Vivian Leigh put on airs with the remark, "I can't stand a naked light bulb any more than I can a rude remark or a vulgar action"? She said that line to her potential beau, Carl Malden, believe it or not. I'll have the answer for you tomorrow. That might be a hint, huh? For American Movie Classics, I'm Bob Dorian.
It began with a single bullet. And the doctor who unwittingly treated an injured assassin is sentenced to life imprisonment for a crime he didn't commit.
Look at him! Take a look at the man who killed Abe Lincoln.
Warner Baxter and John Carradine. The true story of The Prisoner of Shark Island, directed by John Ford, an American Movie Classic, Saturday.
This month, American Movie Classics presents Burt Lancaster as the all-star American Indian athlete, Jim Thorpe.
There's one thing that really gets to me, it's sports.
And Charles Bickford as Pop Warner, the man who discovered Jim's talents.
Either I need a new watch or we've got a new runner.
I want to go over there, to the Olympics.